Hello, dear teachers. Welcome to the third episode of The Better Teacher, where we discuss a lot of interesting topics, interesting things, interesting questions that you would have got for yourselves. And we do it with none other than G. Balasubramanian, who all of us call or fondly call as Balaji or Balasa. So thank you so much for being with us here today.
Nice meeting you again.
Yes, sir. So today's topic, for all of you to know as well, is should teachers be self-learners? So I think there is a constant battle in all of our minds, especially educators, on should someone teach us, should we be self-learners? How should it work? How does this even take place? How does a teacher go about self-learning if she or he should be a self-learner?
Well, if you ask me this question, I must tell you that the National Policy on Education, while talking about the learning from the primary class, they say that we should prepare the children of the primary class on self-learning and self-directed learning. If that is true for a primary class, there is no reason why we should not say it for our teachers, That's the kind of a world that we are into, because two things have happened. One, the information flow is so heavy today, day in and day out. The gateways of knowledge have been opened. Also, the tools for accessing information, tools for disseminating information are plenty, and with the kind of Wi-Fi facilities that we are having all across the world, the access to knowledge is available, number one. We cannot say that we don't access information. We are not able to have, the info. In my days, for example, when we wanted a book, probably we waited for 2 weeks, 3 weeks for a book to be imported from elsewhere. Now it's only a matter of 2 minutes or 3 minutes to get it downloaded. That's the kind of the world that we are getting into. Second, if you look at the spectrum of the teachers all across the country, you have, say, approximately 5 million teachers all over there. If any organization, any board or any institution of learning have got to train these teachers, by the time they complete one course of training, the knowledge would have become absolutely irrelevant and dated. And further, with the kind of competition that we have, you don't have to wait for somebody to come and train you, when already by click of button you have got all that knowledge available at the nanoseconds to say. The fact that knowledge is getting irrelevant or every 3 weeks or 4 weeks, that's the speed of knowledge dynamics that we have. So to wait for somebody to come and train you after a month or two, you will as much feel that you are lost in the game. And therefore, to me, every day is a learning day, every hour is a learning hour, and that you have got the best tool available, just a computer, and click a button. If you want to know about multiple intelligences, at a click of a button you get about 13 lakh websites. Emotional intelligence, you get about 8 lakh websites available. And therefore, you have the freedom to learn today, which I think technology has democratized education, and we should enjoy this kind of democracy.
Yeah, the accessibility part that you spoke of, that's so true. And I think it's true across all age groups, across all professions. And that actually goes to another question where teachers are always worried if they are relevant anymore, because the students also have accessibility to a lot of knowledge out there. Yeah. But we'll deal with that in some other episode. For now, sir, since you touched upon training, let's speak a little about training. Now, is training important in the context of self-learning? Is training important? One, is it a trigger or is it a prescription?
Oh, that's a very interesting question, because in early 70s, when I got into teaching nearly 50 years before, we all waited for the information to come from some top-heavy notch to say, because authenticity of the information, the credibility of the information depends upon the kind of the person who delivers the kind of training. But what has happened over the years, even psychologists argue that training creates some kind of a dependency in the human mind. For example, when I do a training, the people might come and say, sir, it was very good. When will you have the next training? That means you are anticipative of the next training, and then you are, waiting for somebody to come and pat your back and then learn. That the world is gone, that world is gone today. Therefore, to me, a training is a good trigger, right? The objective of a good training is to light the fire in the belly, so that you are able to seek the knowledge anywhere and everywhere what is available. And therefore, I would rather suggest it is not a prescription, right? Prescription is only for people who suffer from some kind of illness. Training is not meant for an illness. It is a, what do you call, empowering tool. And therefore, I would say the teachers must consider training as not a full stop, but as a comma, a trigger that would lighten the fire in the belly to become more knowledgeable, more skilled, more competent, and more self-motivated.
So as long as training ignites our curiosity, as long as training is a trigger for us, then it's absolutely fine. But we should not be allowing it to become a prescription for us. That is when we are dependent on
Absolutely.
it or only on training.
One more point I would like to say here, as the policy talks about self-directed learning. What happens is that even for training, suggests some kind of inputs for learning. At the end of that particular thing, the teachers or students also have a feeling, what next? So they would like to go to somebody and ask, what should I do next about it? As a matter of fact, this learning, whatever has happened, should help you to fix the direction of your goal, and you must, depending on your own aptitudes and your own requirements, should be able to carve the path in which you should move ahead. And therefore, I think self-learning goes along with self-directed learning, so that you will become a lifelong learner.
So along the path of carving out a path for ourselves, right, along those lines. Now, in a web-enabled world, when there are so many avenues for self-learning, for us to go and to learn from, how can a teacher take the right decision to pick the right kind of topics or modules for self-learning? This, of course, I'm only talking on the digital side of it. I know the physical side of it is completely different. I'm only focusing on the digital aspect here.
Yeah, see, in the digital side, the problem is you are inundated with information which is right, wrong, and which is authenticated, not authenticated. So you have got so many ghosts which are writing on the digital platform. So a good teacher, uses his or her intelligence as a sieve to filter what is required for me, right? Number one, that both the universe of learning, the compass of learning, as well as the nuances of learning and the bullet points for learning have all got to be fixed by them, depending on their own competencies, their own possibilities, their own environment. The most important thing is that somebody tells you that I have learned all these things from the web or some other technology platform. It's not necessary that you have to learn, because their interests are different, their aptitudes are different, right? Therefore, I think one should carve the universe of learning, based on their own requirements. But one very interesting aspect of the web world is that it facilitates you to integrated learning and interdisciplinary learning, and therefore a person who has got a curiosity to learn, who has several questions linked to from between one subject and the other, will have a huge opportunity for integrated learning and interdisciplinary learning. It all depends on that you have a vessel of milk, whether you want to make a coffee, whether you want to make a curd, whether you want to make something else. It all depends on that. It's how you cook the information to what is the delicacy for you. That's what I believe.
Interesting examples. I really like the simplicity of that example, and it is so true. So as long as we understand what our requirements are and what our goals are, and we pick what we want in accordance with that and not get carried away by what our colleagues are doing or what is the in thing in education today. The earlier discussions that we are having, you mentioned saying, what is relevant in Finland may not be relevant here in India.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So,
even within the country, what is relevant in Kerala may not be relevant in Himachal. So we are in a country which is geographically totally relevant, culturally relevant. So that's why I use the term pedagogical intelligence. The same concept has got to be intelligently used by the teacher with different examples, different models in different places, right? Therefore, I think to put learning within a framework is absolutely ridiculous. Learning is a universe. You should really let the children to fly where they want to be.
thank you so much, sir. Interesting points of view here from you today, and also interesting examples from you. I think it only makes it easier for our viewers and our teachers to understand the complexity of what we are discussing here. So dear teachers, just remember that self-learning is, yes, absolutely important, even if you are a teacher. So it's important in all the aspects, all professions. And secondly, think of what you require, think of where you are and what you want for your own future. And in accordance with that, decide on what kind of self-learning module you want to pick for yourself. Thank you so much for joining us here today for this episode. And you know, we will be back with the next episode of The Better Teacher. And both of us hope to see all of you there in the next episode. You take care.